All right, I'm here with Tom DuBois. He's the Director of Business Development at zSpace, and zSpace is a really incredible virtual reality desktop computer. How about you explain it? You're the one with all the info.
Good job. It's display-based VR, so most people think VR is head mount, but we're really taking it to the desktop. So it's a very good transition into VR. So we have a 3D display that does head tracking, and we have a 3D input device. So you can basically pick up an object you see on the screen, you can turn it over, you can look around it with your head. All
what is
very
the
natural.
input device?
Yeah, so we have a stylus that comes with our system. Kind of think of it like a three-dimensional mouse, it has 3 buttons on it. But we are looking at other input devices for different applications. The company today is doing things like high-end CAD, education, medical. And so for a lot of educational apps, having this kind of pencil stylus works really well.
Yeah. Well, input in VR is a huge thing. The fact that you have a good input device is definitely a huge advantage in the space.
Yeah, I think it's input device are one of the big areas for innovation.
Totally.
We have a little bit of haptics in the device, and you have this beautiful 3D VR environment. People like it. And then as soon as they feel a little bit of that haptics, they just go, ooh. It's funny, but it really adds to the experience.
Does it only work with the zSpace desktop right now, that stylus?
The stylus does. We have been looking into basically creating a Windows driver for us so you could use it in other systems.
Yeah.
But I'm also interested the other way, looking at other kinds of VR input devices to work with the zSpace.
Totally. Very cool.
Yeah.
So you guys have been around for how long now?
I think the company has been around for 7 years.
7 years.
I've only been there for about 6 months.
Okay.
It originally started as funded by InQtel, which and created applications for the NSA and the intelligence services. And so the product's actually been out in the market for several years. Every year the price has been dropping very rapidly, and it's really been expanding the markets we can go into. So we started off doing a lot of high-end CAD and professional applications. We have some medical training and surgery kind of applications. And then really in the last 2 years, the price dropped to the point where we've been getting a lot of traction in schools, middle schools and high schools. We can do things like dissect a virtual frog. We have chemistry, physics, electronics. And it's really interesting to watch these kids. I mean, you're learning about a lot of concepts that are inherently 3D, like what molecules look like. But when they can grab it and feel it, they just get really engaged, really excited.
Totally. I mean, if I was a kid and I was coming home to my mom excited about what I learned at school, I know she would be emotional, to say the least. But do you see a lot of that? Are kids really going into the classroom, playing with these desktops and getting excited about learning?
Yeah, totally.
In a way that hasn't happened with books?
Totally. So, we get a lot of feedback from teachers that, they feel the quality of learning is a lot higher just because the kids are so engaged. We're actually doing a scientific study right now to kind of try to measure that effect. That's not going to be done for a couple of months, but we're pretty excited about that. I think a lot of people think that, obviously you learn better the more engaged you are, but we're really trying to measure that effect and see if it shows up on the test scores, basically.
Yeah, that's good. So you said a couple months that's going to come out?
Yep.
Cool. So education has been your focus, medical, more like CAD stuff, but as the price gets lower and lower and the average everyday consumer wants to get one, are you guys expanding into gaming and entertainment at all?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I do. So I came from EA. I also came from a company called OnLive, game industry. We're actively looking for game developers and really applications you could use in the home. So far zSpace has really been office environment, school environment. And we're really excited about the kinds of experiences you could have on the zSpace platform in the home. So we're looking for developers with creative ideas. We've been working a lot on various games right now, trying different ideas. And so if anybody's interested, look me up. Cool. Definitely like to talk to you. We have developer kits available.
Are they online, or do they need to go through you to get those dev kits?
You can go to our website, developer.zspace.com.
Cool.
Yeah, and again, when you talk about input, I think again when you get to games, and maybe there's certain games you want to play with the stylus, but that's an area where I think we're definitely open to exploring.
What's the price point right now for the desktop and stylus?
Well, so today when we're selling to schools, we kind of sell an entire lab at once. In ballpark, it's like $50,000. You get an entire classroom set up. You get all the educational software. And the big thing for teachers really like lesson plans and helping them use the stuff. We haven't set pricing for the home environment, but I can tell you that basically you need a mid-sized PC. You need a CPU and a GPU that can drive VR. And what we're really doing is we're talking to a lot of computer manufacturers about adding a VR option. And so if you look at it that way, it's really just an extra $200 or $300 to add VR to a laptop or to a desktop.
Totally. So with Oculus coming out, consumer release, they're very focused on desktop. Is that getting you guys excited about people having these computers that are able to run VR experiences? And do you
absolutely.
think it's going to help get it into the home?
Yeah, well, so a lot of people talked about Oculus as $300 or $400, and then they announced, well, you need a $1,500 computer, right? And so it actually makes us very equivalent, and we're pretty excited about it because if you're going to buy a $1,500 computer, you could run VR right on that computer, and then you could also drive an Oculus. So we think there's a good synergy there that people could do both.
Yeah. So you guys aren't fully immersive. You have the little glasses.
Right.
Does that enable more social interactions on the desktop when it comes to gaming and stuff? Like what can you do, I guess, in the gaming entertainment space on a zSpace desktop that you just don't get with an immersive HMD right now?
They're very different experiences, right? I mean, immersive is awesome for certain things. You feel like you're in the middle of it, but at the same time, you're kind of isolated from the real world. zSpace, you have this virtual environment that it kind of comes out of the screen about 12 inches and goes into the screen. But outside of that, I can talk to you while I'm playing. I can see my hands. You don't really get fatigued or nauseous. So we're excited. We just think they're very different kinds of experiences. Playing around with different games, you find definitely like RTSs or games where you have a playing field are pretty compelling in zSpace. MOBAs, so you can see the playing field. You can move around. One of the things we're exploring is kind of the interaction of the zSpace with an Oculus, where maybe you have a bunch of soldiers in the field wearing oculi, and you have the general on the zSpace. You can see the whole battlefield and kind of direct the action.
That's a really cool idea.
Yeah.
So developer.zspace.com, and that's where they can go and pick up the developer kit and start building. And Tom DuBois.
Yes.
Is it tom.dubois at zspace.com?
It's T DuBois.
T DuBois. Developers. Email Tom.
Yeah.
Get yourself a dev kit.
Check it out. You got to see it to experience.
Thanks, Tom.
All right. Thanks.